Okay, here's your guys' homework on complex numbers, numbers 1 through 30. So, first, for all these problems, we have to get into standard form, which is a plus bi. So, a is your guys' real number, and b is your guys' imaginary. So, it has to be of this form. Alright, so we'll get right into it. Okay, here, we can distribute this negative to both. So we're going to have negative 8 plus 8i. Negative to the 2 is negative 2. Negative times 4 is negative 4i. Now, let's combine like terms. So, in the standard form, the real number comes first. So for us, our real numbers are negative 8 and negative 2. Combine those and we get negative 10. And for the imaginary, we have 8i minus 4i, which would be plus 4i. Notice that my real number is in the front and my imaginary is the second term. Okay, number 2. This one, we just simplify. So 8i, that's pretty much minus 4, minus 8i, minus 7i. Okay, now let's combine like terms. So for the real number, the only real number is negative 4. So that's the only one that's going to come in the front. Now let's combine like terms for our i's. 8i minus 8i is 0. 0 minus 7i is negative 7i. Okay. Number 3. We have negative I minus 1 minus 7i minus 2i. Okay, so standard form, right? A plus bi. Our real number is negative 1, so that's in front. And now let's let's combine all our i's. Negative I minus 7i minus 2i is negative 10i. Okay. Number 4. We got 1 minus 6i plus 7 minus 5i. Okay, real numbers in the front based off standard form, right? 1 plus 7 is 8. Negative 6i minus 5i is negative 11i. Real number in front, imaginary in the back. Okay, number 5. We got 5 plus 5i plus 7i plus 4i. So, real numbers in the front, which is only 5, so we just have 5. Now, combine like terms with the imaginary. 5i plus 7i plus 4i is 16i. And there's standard form. Okay, number 6. I see we need to distribute this negative to both. So we do that. Okay, so we have 3i plus 2. Okay, distribute the negative to both. So negative times an 8 is a negative 8. Negative times a negative 5i is a positive 5i. So now, real numbers in the front and imaginary in the back. So 2 minus 8, that's negative 6. 3i plus 5i is plus 8i. And there's standard form. Real number in the front, imaginary in the back. Okay, I'm going to drag my standard form below. Now we have 7. So 7, I'm just going to drop my parentheses. So, standard form. Real numbers in front, so negative 8 minus 6 is negative 14. 6i plus 3i is plus 9i. Okay. Number 8. 7 minus 7i plus 2 minus 7i. Real numbers in front, so 7 plus 2 is 9. Imaginary in the back, negative 7i minus 7i is negative 14i. Number 9. Okay, I see that we gotta distribute this negative to both. So we're going to have negative 7 plus 8i. Negative times a positive 6 is a negative 6. Negative times a positive 1i is a negative I. Okay, so based off standard form, real number in the front. Negative 7 minus 6 is negative 13. 8i minus I is positive 7i. Okay, number 10. So 8 plus 6i minus 2 minus 2i. Okay, real numbers in the front. 8 minus 2 is 6. Imaginaries in the back. 6i minus 2i is 4i. And that is how you guys add or subtract your guys' imaginary. Sorry, complex numbers. Alright, moving this down. Now we have multiplication, so we distribute twice, right? So I'm going to distribute this negative 1 to both. And I'm going to distribute 3i to both. So we're going to have negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times 6i minus 6i. 3i times 1 is positive 3i. 3i times 18i, that is plus 18i squared. Now remember, I squared in your notes, right? I to the second power is negative 1. So we're going to put that into consideration. And then do our thing. So we have negative 1. Okay, negative 6i plus 3i. Or actually, I'll just rewrite it. You could simplify that part if you want. Okay, remember 18 times negative 1 is negative 18. Now, get into standard form. So real number first for negative 19. And imaginary in the back. Negative 6i plus 3i, negative 3i. Number 12. So again, we distribute. So 7 times 4, right? 28. 7 times negative 3i, negative 21i. Negative 7i times 4, negative 28i. And negative 7i times a negative 3i. So negative 7 times negative 3, you guys, is positive 21. I times I is I to the second. So remember, this I to the second becomes negative 1. And remember, an imaginary number should not have powers bigger than 1. Alright, so we have real numbers 28 minus 21i minus 28i minus 21. 28 minus 21, that is 7. Negative 21i minus 28i is negative 49i. Okay, number 13. Alright, so we distribute. Okay, so negative 7 times negative 4 is 28. Negative 7 times 4i is negative 28i. 2, look at the orange now. 2i times negative 4 is negative 8i. And 2i times 4i, that is positive 8, but there's an I squared. And the I squared becomes negative 1. Connection. There you go. So I just said I to the second is negative 1. So we have 8 times negative 1 there. So we have 28 minus 28i minus 8i minus 8. 28 minus 8, because real numbers go in the front because of standard form. That is 20. Negative 28i minus 8i is negative 36i. Okay, 14. Okay, distribute. Okay, so we distribute the purple first. So negative 3 times negative 7 is 21. Negative 3 times negative I is positive 3I. Okay, the orange. Negative 2I times negative 7 is positive 14I. And negative 2I times negative I is positive 2I to the second. But remember, I to the second is negative 1. So we have 21 plus 31I. No, not 31I, sorry. Plus 3I plus 14I plus, or minus 2. So just let me make sure my math is all right on that one. Looks good to me. So real numbers first. So 21 minus 2 is 19. 3I plus 14I is plus 17I. 5 minus 5I times 5 minus 5I. So first we gotta distribute. Okay, so 5 times falling purple, right? 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times negative 5I is minus 25I. Negative 5I times 5, that is negative 25I. And negative 5I times negative 5I, that's positive 25I to the second. But you all know 25I to the second is 25 times negative 1. Simplify, and we get, so we get 25 minus 25 is 0. So then we get negative 50I. Okay. 16. Again, distribute. So following purple, right? 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times negative I is negative I. Negative 2I times 2, that's negative 4I. And negative 2I times negative I is positive 2I to the second. But remember, the I to the second becomes negative. So what we really have is 2 minus I minus 4I minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. And then negative I minus 4I is negative 5I. $17. So 17, distribute. So negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. Negative 5 times 6i is negative 30i. Negative 3i times 7 is negative 21i. And negative 3i times 6 is negative 3i negative 18i to the second. Alright, so change this I to the second to be a negative 1. So now we have negative 35 minus 30i. I'm pretty much just rewriting everything except for this KD situation. So real numbers first, right? So we have 35, negative 35 minus, oh, this should be a plus. Yeah, so negative 35 plus 18, that's negative 17. And negative 30 minus 21i is negative 51i. Let me just make sure my math is correct on that. Okay, so 18 Distribute. Six times negative 4 is negative 24. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36i. And then we have negative 24, negative 6. Okay, wait, negative 24, negative 3. Okay, and then negative 16i, and then negative 24i to the second. So now change the I squared to be a negative number. Now let's combine like terms. Okay, remember, real number is in the front, your a value. So negative 24 negative 16i. Okay, so from all the simplification, so we get negative 24 and then plus 24. Now the negative 24 and the 24 cancel, so all we're left with is negative 36 minus 16, which is negative 52i. 19. So distribute. So 8 times negative 6, that will give you guys negative 48. 8 times I is positive 8i. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36i. Negative 6 plus 1, that's a negative 5. Okay, now let's take a look at 20. So for, wait, did I even put the answer? No, I did not. So we got negative 48, 8i, 36i, and negative 6i to the second. So negative 6 times negative 1. So we got 48, negative 48. Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, yeah, wait. Negative 48 plus 8i plus 36i plus 6. So we combine like terms, so numbers at first, negative 42. 8i plus 36i is plus 44i. 20. So for 20, we distribute. And then, yeah, so we distribute first. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Negative 2 times negative 8i, that is positive 16i. Negative 5i times negative 1 is 5i. And negative 5i times negative 8i, that's for sure plus 40i to the second. But I to the second is negative. So this is actually going to turn into a negative number. Now let's simplify. So 2 plus 16i plus 5i minus 40. 2 minus 40 is negative 38. 16i plus 5, that's going to be 16i plus 5i is going to be 21i. Alright, so that is how you guys do multiplication. That's how you guys do multiplication. Okay, so moving on. Okay, powers of i's. I told you guys, just divide the powers by 4, and the remainder is the power of the I. But this goes in infinitely, which means there's no remainder, so that means this is equal to I to the 0 power, which is 1. So we have 37, divide that by 4, that goes into 9 with 1 remainder. So that means 37 is going to be I to the first, which is just I. 23, 23, sorry, divide this by 4. That goes in 10 times. So 4 goes into 43 10 times, remainder is 3. So this has a I power of 3, and you guys know from your notes, I to the third is negative I. If you don't believe me, here's your guys' notes on it, right? I is equal to I squared equals negative 1, I to the third is equal to negative 1I, and I to the fourth is equal to 1. Okay, so 24, so 82 divided by 4 goes in twice. Drop the 2, 4 goes into 2 0 times, so we have a remainder of 2. So that means I to the 82 is I squared, which is negative 1. Okay, 1002 goes into 4, or 4 goes into 1002 twice. Drop the 0, 5, 0. Remainder 2. So we have a remainder of 2, so this becomes I to the remainder of 2, which becomes negative 1. I to the second is negative 1. And lastly, 527 divided by 4, we got 1, subtract it, 3, subtract it, 7, 1, remainder 3. And this is going to be I to the third, which is negative I. So there's your guys' multiplication. Or sorry, there's your guys' powers now with complex, right? So again, A plus BI. This is your real, and this is your imaginary. So x-axis is your real, remember, and your y-axis is imaginary. So 5 plus 2i, right? The 5 is the real. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 up, 1, 2. There's our point. Okay, this one, 28. Negative 3 is real. So that means you go left on the x-axis. And then for negative 4i, you go down on the y-axis. So you get negative 3, comma, negative 3 minus 4i. 29, negative 2, that is the real number, right? That's into front, so you go left 2, and then 3i is 3 up. So negative 2, comma, 3i. And lastly, 30, 4 is a real number, so your real number is on the x-axis, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative I is negative 1 on the imaginary, which is negative 1. So hopefully this video helps you guys, and good luck, okay? Peace.